Today, I'm going to talk about SoFi and give you a detailed breakdown of everything that's been going on. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Daily Stock Update. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications by hitting the bell so you never miss any of our uploads, and also enter our giveaway. But before that, alert this is not a financial advice video. Now let's get started. SoFi recently experienced a drop of 1.71%, but more importantly, it held above the $8 mark. While that might not seem like a big deal, staying above $8 is critical for maintaining support, especially given the market's volatility. If you've been following SoFi like I have, you probably noticed the wild price swings. At one point, the stock dipped to 8.03 cents, and it almost seemed like there was an effort to push it below 8s. However, the price held steady, which is good news despite what appeared to be market manipulation. This type of low-volume trading manipulation isn't new for SoFi. On this particular day, around 35.9 million shares were traded compared to the average of 40.6 million. Interestingly, about 6 million of those shares were traded after hours, and that's closely tied to options trading, which I'll explain in a moment. There wasn't any major news coming directly from SoFi today. However, there was an SEC filing, a 144 form, which was filed at 10:11 a.m., indicating that Jeremy is selling another 68,000 shares. If you've been following, you might recall that Jeremy is going through a messy divorce, which likely explains why he's selling. It's not a reason to panic. His decision is personal and doesn't reflect on SoFi's performance. However, if Anthony Noto, SoFi's CEO, were selling, that would be a different story. Divorce proceedings can be costly, and Jeremy's situation is likely driving his decision. But again, this isn't something that should impact your view of the company itself. Now let's step back and look at the broader market. Investors are still trying to make sense of the Federal Reserve's potential rate cuts. There's speculation that we could see a 50 basis point cut, which has raised a lot of questions. Does this signal a recession? Will consumer spending increase? Or will we see new highs in the market? These are the kinds of questions that investors are grappling with. Based on the upcoming Federal Reserve meetings in November and December, there's talk of further rate cuts, which could significantly impact the market. Some analysts argue this could signal a downturn, while others believe it's a positive sign that could push the market higher. What are your thoughts on this? Shifting gears back to SoFi, there's been some interesting activity on the short side. Short sellers returned about 1.45 million shares today, which is slightly down from the 2 million shares they were returning earlier in the session. Short sellers seem to be buying back shares toward the end of the day, which contributed to the volatility we saw. Unfortunately, I don't have access to the detailed routing data to see exactly who was behind these transactions, but it's pretty clear that large institutional players were responsible. If anyone out there has access to that kind of information, I encourage you to dig in. It's crucial to understand who's behind these moves. As of now, about 18.5% of SoFi's free float is being shorted, which translates to roughly 193.45 million shares. The average borrowing cost is around 0.93%, which is relatively low. But the amount of short interest shows there's still significant pressure on the stock. It's something we need to watch closely. Now, the real focus today was options trading. SoFi closed above 8 with $946 million in call options and $578 million in put options. Despite the stock holding above $8, about 66% of the options activity today was bearish. When you look at the open interest, there are about 43,000 contracts at the 8 strike, while the $7.50 and $7 strikes have around 13,000 and 18,000 contracts, respectively. After-hours trading was also active, with several significant transactions happening. It's likely that many of these were market makers covering their options positions, which could lead to a small bump in the stock price early next week. With SoFi closing at 8.05 cents, it's sitting just above the key support level of 8.02 cents. Keep an eye on that in the coming days. Technically, today was a day of consolidation. There's nothing wrong with that, as stocks can't go up every day. The stochastic oscillator shows that SoFi is still in overbought territory, sitting at 79. We're also seeing the beginnings of a bearish crossover, which could signal more consolidation or even a slight pullback in the near future. Additionally, some retail investors appear to be exiting their positions, which could add to short-term pressure on the stock. Looking ahead, there are key support levels to watch. If SoFi falls below 822, the next major support is at 779. In my opinion, SoFi has a good chance of bouncing off these levels and trending higher, especially with earnings on the horizon. While we don't have an exact date for SoFi's earnings report, many believe it's coming up in about 39 days. Historically, SoFi tends to rally in the lead up to earnings, followed by a sell-off afterward, so keep that in mind. What do you think of SoFi's recent performance? The fact that short sellers have been returning shares is interesting, and while short interest has decreased since its peak on September 13th, it hasn't come down as much as I expected. Do you see this as a sign of strength or just a temporary blip? Today's price action was certainly dramatic. Were you as surprised as I was, or have you gotten used to these wild swings? Regardless, SoFi staying above $8 is a win, and the after-hours buying is a positive sign. Friends, that's all we have for you today. What is your opinion about today's video? Get involved and let us know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching.